Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Every now and then I get to work on a treat, and this is one of them. This is a Jigmaster 506 high speed by Penn with the Tiburon frame. And well, it's just a beautiful reel all the way around. David brought it in. David was able to purchase this reel on the used marketplace. I think he got a good deal on it. And well, he said, I'd like to have you tune it up because it's getting time where the fall fishing season is going to start, and I would like to use it. Well, when he showed it to me, the reel is very clean, and so we decided just to pop the plate and see what's going on. And it is very clean, but there's no evidence of any kind of greases or oils in there, so we'd say it's probably time to make sure that it gets cleaned up and ready for that fall. Well, if you like to see videos like this, if you enjoy learning about fishing reels, seeing how they're serviced, and learning how to do them yourselves, I would encourage you to subscribe to my channel. I work on all kinds of fishing reels and introduce the viewers to a wide variety of them and how they can service them themselves. If you like that, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. And if you do subscribe to my channel, please use that notification button. That notification button will let you know when I'm posting. And well, you can make a decision as to that's something that you want to watch. Well, here's your Tiburon frame. It's a half frame. It's much stronger than the traditional 2 cross posts and a reel seat on these reels. And well, it strengthens it. It prepares you for a fight, and it enables you to bring in very big fish on a small frame environment. This is an anodized aluminum spool. He's got what appears to be about possibly 60-pound braid on there. We've oiled that back case bearing. Put a little bit of grease onto that shaft that's going to go into the bearing. The clicker looks nice and fresh, as though this reel has hardly been used. And so does that front side plate, the gear side plate that we're going to remove now. It doesn't look like it's been used much. This does have a leveraged handle on it. He's asked me to actually increase the leverage and move it all the way out to that last post. I'm not sure, I'm not much of a fan of the leveraged handles, but certain folks like it, and if that's the case, I know he'll be fishing in a rocky and a reef environment, so perhaps he wants that extra pulling power should he get hung up. This doesn't have the line guide on it, so you don't worry about really breaking that off. And the leverage handle does show that the reel has been used, or at least the handle's been used. It's been nicked up a lot on both sides. My guess is that's not original to the reel, and somebody else put that on there, and perhaps they put it on there used. We remove the star adjuster and the spacer, and then we can remove the side plate for this reel. The big difference between this reel and the Jigmaster 501 is the bearings. The frame is narrower than the traditional Jigmaster frame, so it does handle less line capacity, but of course when you go to braid, you pick up almost 50% increase in the line capacity on that, so you don't necessarily need to worry about having that wide frame. There's 4 screws that attach the bridge. You can see them coming through here. We're going to remove those screws next. So whenever David buys one of these reels, he always has 2 concerns. The first one is, does it need service? Is it going to hold up? So he'll usually bring that to me. And the other one is, because you don't know the reel, the question is always about, well, how are the drag washers? Are they okay? So we'll do a full inspection of the reel, cleaning, and lubrication as part of that. Those 4 screws have been loosened, and there's 3 of them have come out. You'll notice when you take these screws out that 2 of these have full threads on them, and 2 of them have a partial thread. Those partial threads go in the top holes closest to the free spool release. The full threaded ones go on the bottom. With those screws out, all you have to do is, I cup my hand because sometimes I don't want the pieces and parts to fall out. Just push through. That will remove the bridge. In this case, it removed the bridge and that back case bearing. So that's why we want to look at these things, make sure that we have it all. To remove the rest of this, we can pull up on the free spool release These parts are all coming out randomly. And if this happens, one of the things, if you don't know the reel, one of the things to do is to go to the schematic for the reel. And that schematic will show you the orientation of the pieces and parts, where they belong, the order and the sequence that they're in. Alright, well, we want to clean it up. There's old greases in here. I want to test that bearing. We have a bearing. I just hold it between my fingers and make sure it spins. It's spinning fine. That can go back into the case. And there's a washer that goes underneath there to the back end of that case. So I'll put that washer in first. I'll put that bearing on. We're going to oil that bearing. I oil the bearings, I don't grease the bearings. Alright, next up we'll clean the yoke assembly from that old grease. We're going to clean the jack the same way. And this is an indication. The reel may not have been used. It has been maintained. There's been grease in here, and the grease is dried. So you want to make sure when you're servicing the reel, get rid of that old grease. Sometimes it's just plain evaporated. And get to the new stuff. Alright, we're going to remove the main gear and the drag washer stacks inside. There's a washer that goes underneath. The anti-reverse dog for this reel is mounted right to the bridge, so you don't need to worry too much. We'll take that dog off so we can clean it. A good place to tell you to take pictures if you don't know how this reel comes together. Take pictures before you pull it apart. That way you can know where to have a reference point should you get lost. Well, I just pushed the pin out that holds the gear sleeve onto the bridge. There's an indent right here that pin rides in. And I want to get underneath that, of course, because, well, there's greases and oils in there as well. And if everything on this reel is dried, then you want to take care to clean that part out as well. A little fresh grease onto the shaft. You can put that gear sleeve back on. And you want to push the pin back in. And when you do that, make sure that that pin is underneath that ridge on the sleeve. Alright. Hard washer goes next. I guess probably makes sense at this point. Put that anti-reverse dog back in before we do the rest of this. To put the anti-reverse dog in, come over the top, from the top, bring that in, and your spring will compress, and then it'll lodge itself. I'll do this again here. Bring it up like that, just compress it, and hook it under the tag, and that's how your spring resets. Now we can put that hard washer on the bottom of this. We'll take a look at the drag stack. The drags are all new, or appear to be new. And before we put this back, we want to do two things. We want to wipe the grease off the bottom of this, make sure that that's nice and clean. I use a paper towel for that. And then we want to run a hard brush through these teeth. You can use a toothbrush, you can use a hard bristle brush, you can use a brass or a wire brush, whatever you like. Just make sure that the teeth on these are clean. That's the best way to ensure optimal performance. Before I install this back on that gear sleeve, I'm going to put some grease onto this. And we'll bring a, use fishing reel grease when you do this. We'll bring this back on. And these are Penn's version of a Carbon Tex washer. It's optional to grease them. I'll put some grease on there. I'm going to rub that around with my glove. And when you do that, make sure you can see the cross-hatching through these washers. If you can't, you've got too much grease on there. And if you have too much grease on there, it's simply going to squeeze out. You have two washers that have a rectangular center. They're going to go high and low, and the middle metal washers got 2 studs on it, which is called an eared washer. So it goes fabric washer and the first of the keyed washers. I'm going to do this 2 more times with that grease. I've been doing this a lot. I kind of know the right grease level to it, but don't be afraid to wipe off any excess if you've put too much on there. This is your middle washer. It loads into the 2 slots in the main gear. One more. And the top one goes on. So there's a couple of different conversion kits for this reel. This one's a Tiburon one, which is a nice one. It provides pretty much a solid frame so that you don't run into an issue with flex, which is a problem with these reels. And that leverage handle, to me, it's going to just test that flex even more, but again, he likes that leverage handle, so we're going to leave it. We're actually going to increase it. And Cortez is another one that makes a conversion for these reels, and it's just replacing, in Cortez's case, they have metal side plates too, and it's just replacing the one set of parts with a stronger set of parts. Okay, we've greased and lubricated the yoke and the pinion gear. We just want to reassemble. Next step then, after you've put the springs in, let's take that pinion gear. The slot in the pinion gear faces you. Center those over the spring and press down. Jack is next. The jack has a wide side and a narrow side. Enter in the wide side and pull it over to mount. Then hold the pressure on this as you go to install the bridge. Because the dog is on this bridge, you don't need to do anything fancy other than just bring it in, seat it, make sure that you pull down on the pinion gear to bring it through the slot. And then there's 2 studs. There we go. Just want to bring that in. There we go. There's 2 studs that the bridge sits on and pulls tight through the channel. You need to have that nice and tight before you insert your bridge screws. As I mentioned, there's 2 screws that are fully threaded. They go on the bottom portion of this, which is now facing up on me. I'm only going to tighten one of them. The other one's just going to be a placeholder for now. The 2 partial threaded screws go through those springs, so they're closest to the free spool release. And I like to do this in an X pattern here. That keeps equal torsion or tension on that bridge plate. And then when I put the other 2 in, we'll take the opportunity to go back and tighten them all now. Okay, next up then is the bridge sleeve. We can take our star adjuster. Now in the star adjuster, one side of that's going to have a part number on it. This is the 10505. This one does not. The side without the part number faces you. It also has a slightly rounded finish to the adjuster. The other side is more flat. Take your time to set this. It's always a little difficult to keep the pressure, but eventually you will get it to the point where it just goes on easy. If it's not going on easy, chances are it's being over or cross-stripped. So take your time. If it's cross-stripping, back it out. He wants it all the way back here now. He wants optimal leverage handle. So we're going to put that on here. Hand tighten these just for the same reason that we were talking about with that star adjuster. You don't want to cross-strip the inner threads of this. And once you get it started, you can use your reel wrench to tighten it up. So this one has the advantage of the better ball bearings in it than the Jigmaster. It has the narrow frame. It has the upgrade that makes the frame more solid. turns out to be a very nice reel. One more piece is to put the tie-down screw into the hole so that you can hold the nut you just tightened from slipping. And while I'm doing that, if you have any questions about this reel or any reel, just leave them in the comment section. I will try to answer those for you. Well, the only thing we didn't grease was this jack. It's kind of hard to grease the face of that jack while you're doing the installation, so let's do that now. Now we can simply put this in. It's a 1/4 turn on these. So set it into the channel, push it over, and then you should be able to tighten down on your screw. Okay, bring it into free spool, test it. It spins nice and easy. It needs a little bit of an adjustment here. You can adjust the bearings by pushing in. That's better. Bring it into gear, give it a test. Works nice and free and easy. All around. Very nice reel. Again, I don't like the longer extension handle, but some people do. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that. I want to take a moment to thank our police, fire, safety, rescue, EMTs, and everybody who works on our behalf to keep us safe. And I want to thank you for watching, for your participation in the channel, and for making it what it is. I want to encourage you, again, if you haven't subscribed, to go ahead and subscribe. And if you do like this video, please like that by hitting that button. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, wishing everybody a great day.